c'est quoi, peace?
Hey, Kizzy, I'm here though.
What's up, y'all? This is something that I've been wanting to do for a while. Anybody that knows me in real life, or even if you know me on the internet, you know I love to talk about cars. I started building a car myself last year, and it's really only made the habit worse of just talking about cars all the time, and cars always been on my mind. So it only made sense to sit down and really map it out and try to start something and create a space where I could just talk about cars and bring other people along for the ride and introduce you to people that inspire me, not only in cars, but in life and in work and in everything I do. And I jump right into it. That's like I always do. I always just jump right into it. Today I got somebody with me, kind of the guy that really inspired the idea. He's built one of the coolest trucks that I've seen in a while. I actually met this guy at a car show, about a month ago. And my friend Daryl was telling me, you got to go check this truck out over here. You got to go check this truck out. And I walked over there, and it was probably one of the coolest things I'd ever seen. And the more I learned about this truck and about this guy, man, it really inspired me to keep going with my build and just to keep going in general. But I'm not going to talk for too long. I'm going to let him go ahead and introduce himself and, let you guys get to know him, and then we'll talk about this build.
My name is Jackson Hill. I own Garaje. I'm in Boerne, Texas, basically C10s and really anything that's cool I'll work on. Yeah. But my forte or my calling is C10s. Started with what my dad had when he adopted me, and it started my dream, just like yours. So that's how I got here.
Perfect. So you said you started El Garaje in Boerne. What exactly does your business, what is the focus of it right now?
Originally, I thought I wanted to do electric cars.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I've kind of gone away from it so much and just pure hot rod truck.
Right.
More of a resto mod C10 look is what I like with the rat rod twist. Kind of get my artistic statement in there.
Gotcha.
Paint jobs are nice, but I'd be afraid to drive it. So I like the rat rod resto mod type style.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And y'all can see the truck in the background a little bit, but it is very much that rat rod mixed with the resto mod, because going through the build of the truck, it's definitely not a slouch as far as the build. Like, it's a super solid truck, and that's what kind of caught my eye, because as much of a fancy car guy as I am, I much prefer, the older I get, I prefer more of the rat rod type of thing, because I know that it's kind of been lived in, it's kind of been driven, it's been used for the purpose that it's been built for. And that's really what drew me to the truck, and probably everybody else that was around it that day. So I do want to go more into the truck now, and kind of tell us the details of the truck, what kind of truck it is, kind of where you started with the build. And just, give us all the details, man, because I'm going to show some footage of the truck as well. But I do want to get into the details of the truck and give us the rundown of it.
The truck is Bumble. She's a 66 C10. Right when COVID happened, we were all locked up for a while, and I met some girl on Bumble. And one night she was asking me what I was doing, and I was like, I'm looking on Craigslist at C10s. And she's like, send me a picture. And so I sent her the link, and 3 weeks later, she bought me the truck.
Nice.
And she told me, she's like, she wanted me to build my dreams, is what she said.
Right.
And so the truck started out as a clapped out 66 C10. It was supposed to have a 327, but it had a 307 mismatch head, flat cam. And my son was like, you should make it a race truck. I was like, nah, it's just going to be a daily driver.
Right.
And then lo and behold, it turned into a race truck.
Okay.
And that's how I got to that.
Nice. And so what power plant do you say you have in that truck now?
It's got a small block Chevy 383 built by a local engine builder, Smetting Performance.
Okay, nice, nice. And about how long would you say the process was from getting the truck to getting it to where it is now?
I got the truck on May 28th of 2021.
Okay.
Is when I got the truck, or 2020. When did COVID happen?
Yeah, exactly. Look, it's hard to remember now because sometimes we feel like we're still in it, and sometimes we feel like we're some past already.
Because that's my COVID baby.
Yeah,
it's basically what Bumble is.
And I tell you right now, probably most of the people listening, and myself included, a Bumble match has never worked out that good for any of us.
I got lucky.
I've never had an interaction that good on a dating app, and so that's what's up.
Well, and the name of the shop actually came from the same person as well.
And that's good, man. I think a lot of times with these cars, man, a lot of it reflects not only us, but the people around us and the people that kind of led us to the vehicles and to the craft as well. I like the style of this truck. And a lot of people see this truck, and it's mainly people that don't really know about cars. And they might say, well, why would a person want to drive a rusty truck? Why would a person want to drive something that's not clean, that's not polished? Yeah. And I remember talking to you sometime at the show about it, and I was kind of in the rush, so we only talked for a little bit. But kind of run us down on some of the custom parts of this truck and why you chose to keep it in this state rather than kind of going through the full restoration type build.
Basically, I consider myself more of an artist than a car builder.
Right.
And when I think of what the car looks like, I think more artistic, and then I think functionality.
Absolutely.
And so on this truck, the whole outside is just all artistic, where I left the holes, but I sealed up the interior with oil drum barrels so I could spend the money I had on the engine and everything inside to make it go fast. And you open the doors and everything inside is very functional, AC, sealed cab, stereo system, digital gauges.
Right.
And then everything in the back as well is very functional. But on the outside, it's very artistic. On the inside, it's very functional.
Right. And that was one of the big points that I made about it is, like, you see a lot of patina trucks. And a lot of them are, more artistic than they are functional. And then you see the very clean rest of my trucks, and they're very functional, but they're very run-of-the-mill. They're very, very plain. This truck, I feel like, is like the perfect balance of everything, because not only does it look good, not only is it patina, but it's fast. Yeah. That's the cool thing about it. And I knew it was fast when I saw the tires on. I saw the tires on, and I was like, that's not a cruiser right there. What power numbers are you looking at on this truck right now?
523.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's got a Tremec 5-speed manual.
Nice. So. That's really cool. The wheels are cool. Those are Forge Line wheels, right?
Forge Line's correct. They're the TA3, the Trans Am look-alike wheels, 3-piece.
Those wheels stood out a lot because I don't think I saw any Forge Lines at that show at all.
Yeah.
And definitely didn't see anything as far as it's something that's a lot more. This rim looks a lot more technical than a lot of other stuff. I saw a lot of billets out there, and ain't nothing wrong with billets. I just ordered a set for my Impala, so ain't nothing wrong with billets. But it's really nice to see a proper race truck amongst the show trucks.
Well, it was funny, everybody, when I was like telling what wheel I was gonna pick, they're like, "Oh, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that." And I was like, "Nah, it feels right." Yeah. And I remember when I put the payment down on it, I was like, "Holy shit! I hope this is right." And they showed up, and I didn't get lucky. It turned out my image was what ended up happening.
Exactly.
And it turned out to work well.
And that's again, with cars, it's all about seeing it before you can actually, believing it before you can actually see it. This truck, like I said, it symbolizes all of that. And I talked to you before too, also about your business and your clientele and things like that. What is, as far as you mentioned, like your focus before, but exactly what services, products, things like that do you provide at your business?
Well, I spent 23 years at the service in the service industry at the dealership. And when I opened my shop, I was going to do service work. I'll lie, I don't want any customers now, man.
Right.
I am done with customers. So I'm actually looking to develop a truck that I can replicate fairly cheaply and easily with parts that are easily obtainable. Right. But something that's cool and that's marketable.
Exactly.
And so I'm going to try to do that with the diesel truck.
Now, one of my favorite cars, almost like a dream car type of thing, is a Singer Porsche. And I love the idea of coach building. like coach building is one of those things where I've always wanted to be a part of that club.
Yeah.
It's one of those things you see growing up, and you never really know what kind of car it is until you learn more about the person that started the company and that wanted to build this car.
Yeah.
The Singer Porsche is one of those things where it's built for people that love Porsches.
Yeah.
And they want the ultimate Porsche every time. Every time he builds a Porsche, it's the ultimate Porsche.
Yeah.
There's not really something like that for American cars. I mean, you have Factory 5. They make the kit car for the Shelby Cobra or whatever. Those aren't very bespoke because they only supply the parts.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily build the entire car
yeah.
for you, which is good for American car builders because we build our own cars. Your idea immediately reminded me of the Singers and the coach building of the Euro cars, because that is a whole entire, industry, a whole entire culture in itself. What kind of led you towards that type of thing with an American truck?
After 23 years at the dealership, it's all about production. It's all about how many cars can you get through there, and how productive can you be. And to make money, productivity or being able to replicate something easily in American made sense.
Yeah.
And then I tried to source something that's still made new, whereas it's like an older cab, but I can still get all the parts new, and that way it can be easily repairable.
Mm-hmm. And I like my favorite thing about it is I like the idea of someone saying, okay, I want this thing, and I want it the same way you built it last time, but I want to add this little piece of me to it.
Yeah, so basically I want to take a Dodge chassis and I'm going to put square bodies, third gen C10s on them. And I want to have like an option list. And basically everything on the chassis down is stock Dodge, and everything on the body is C10 stock.
Exactly.
So, but mend the two, and you can have an option list. You can do 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive, a lifted or stock ride height.
Exactly. And it provides that same element of like, okay, this is the thing we all love, but it's to a different level.
Correct.
It's to a more premium level, but it's just for a different audience. And I thought that was really cool. It's innovative, and I'm sure there's services like that, but I don't think anyone's ever really taken that on with trucks.
Yeah. Well, what makes me want to do it is I'm old school, and I would much rather drive an old car than anything new. And it's always cool when you find an old car and you see all the RPO list. And that would be awesome to have a car now where you can get like individualized RPO list rather than you get package A, B, or C.
Exactly. And I think
the fun of building the car, of ordering the car, or cataloging it.
And having, that goes back to like what we always say about the old days. It's those little elements of cars that we don't really get to experience, especially me. I'm 27. So I've never even, I didn't even know people ordered cars until I was like 16 years old.
Yeah.
Like ordering a car, that seems like so
archaic.
It seems archaic. It seems very primitive.
Yeah.
And when you can just go on a lot and they have everything there, but like we experienced with COVID, the cars that are coming on the lots now, they're optioned up so high that like either a person can't afford them, or a person might come in and see a car they don't even want.
Yeah. That's
way out of their price range.
Yeah.
And this is cool for people that are building classic cars. They're like, well, I don't really want to build a car. I want to commission it, but I do want to have my hands on every little piece of it.
Yeah.
I think that that idea is very it's ambitious too, because it takes a risk and like, okay, are people going to receive my vision very well? Has that ever like been a concern to you when you first started?
Every day. Every day. Every time I order a part for it, I'm like, is this the right decision? You know? And the first one built has to connect with all the audience.
Absolutely.
It has to grab everybody's attention. So you have to build it just right. So every day I'm like, man, if I don't get this right, this is my one shot, my shot only.
Exactly.
So
it's like the
basically
ultimate pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure, man. With your business and everything, do you feel like that is the ultimate goal, is to just be like kind of like that coach builder for American trucks?
Basically, yep. And my goal would be for me to build a truck for a dealership, like a Yenko, like how Yenko used to do. And so my goal is to market this truck to a dealership. And it could be a small dealership or a private dealership, just some car lot. This guy wants to sell this model truck. Yeah. And that would be my goal.
Absolutely. And I could definitely see that coming back, especially, even with, the electric vehicles. I bet kind of like, I mean, if they have any clue what's going on
Yeah.
on social media, they're probably scrambling for an idea that
Mm-hmm.
how do we get people that might hate electric vehicles to get into these vehicles. I think things like Coach building specific cars would definitely help get people in those vehicles. 'Cause
Yeah.
people are very resistant to them. You know?
Yeah, and eventually it's going to have to be electric.
Yeah.
But right now, with the way my shop operates, it's off of daily funds I bring in by what service work I do. And the electric car industry advances so quickly, I can't afford to keep up with the technology.
Right.
So literally, the car I start building today that'd be done in a year and a half would be so obsolete, nobody would want it.
Exactly.
So that's basically why I had to go away from an electric as a starting point. But eventually, they're going to want electric.
Yeah.
You know.
I totally agree with that, man. Now, with everything, I've come here and I've seen your shops a few times. Or last time before we shot this, I came and saw your shops. You showed me a couple of other cars over there, but I'm sure that's not all you've ever put your hands on. What do you think is like your top 5 cars that you've either owned or like built?
Owned.
And they don't have to be, even the ones you built, they don't have to be yours. But if you have a top 5 that you've owned or built or just kind of put your hands on, which ones would they be?
My dream car is a Porsche.
Yeah.
It's a roof Porsche.
Yeah.
And 80s model, air cooled.
Okay.
And then after that, it's all classic. It's all really 60s era. I'll do some 70s and 50s. I love driving new cars, but they really don't just do it. They just don't do it for me. But my list would be a Porsche would be my first. And then in no particular order, I already got my C10, my 66, and I got my big body Cadillac out there. I got a 65 Fleetwood that's airbag.
Nice.
And that's a rat rod as well. I got a whole plan for that as well.
Okay.
And then after that, it'd be a 69 Mustang.
Okay.
Would be my next car. And after that, if it makes noise and goes fast, I'm not biased, man. I
can't argue with that, man.
You know, but I have had the pleasure of working on some cool cars. Working at the dealership, I've seen some cool cars come in. I've pretty much worked on a lot of everything, right? From a 39 Model T pickup to, you know, to a 2022 CTSV. I've worked on it all.
Right.
It's all fun.
And see, that's one thing is that everybody I talk to, regardless of what they own, regardless of what they've built, regardless of what they even like have a taste for, everyone comes back to Porsches. Like it doesn't. And I recently, like, I've always loved Porsches. I've always loved GT3s. I remember back in 2015 when I first started shooting. It was 2015 and 2016 when I saw a GT3 for the first time. Yeah. And I was like, there's just judging by the looks. I didn't even drive this car. Didn't even hear it turn on. But I was just looking at it. I was like, this has to be the ultimate car because I'm looking at it. It has AC. It has a radio. But I'm also looking at it and it's full of carbon fiber. Has center lock wheels. I'm like, this thing is ready for the track. Yeah. It's ready to go. Like that type of experience, I feel like is common between all type of car guys. We all want that ultimate, and that ultimate is always a Porsche. Yeah. I don't know what it is about that brand. I guess I do know what it is about that brand, but it always comes. Every car guy wants a Porsche. Yeah. You know.
Well, in the 80s, I was in Germany. I lived in Germany. Nice. So I saw him on the Autobahn, and we were in our diesel Mercedes punting along, and there goes the Porsches. Because in Germany, everybody has a Porsche. Right. It's like a daily driver.
My dad was in Germany for a little while. He was in Desert Storm, and he lived in Germany for a while. He was stationed over there. And I remember he used to tell me, all those cars you like, man, I used to see those every day. Yeah. Those were everybody had a Porsche. Everybody had a BMW. Everybody had a Mercedes.
It was a normal run of the mill.
And I was like, we should have stayed over there if that's the case. But it's crazy how that car has translated across over 60 years now. Yeah. And it stayed true to the mission. It stayed true to what they designed the car for. Yeah. And I definitely see a lot of that in your builds and your ideas with the C10. I see that same type of mindset of like, this is what we're doing. We're going to focus in, lock in, build it to these specs and fulfill this purpose. And I definitely see that happening, man.
That's my goal.
Let's see. Besides just actually your shop here in Boerne, where else can we find you on social media, websites, and things like that?
On social media, you can follow me on. You can find me on. Hold on.
Same.
You can find me on Garaje _LLC. It's ELGARAJE _LLC. or you can find me at Bernie_C10.
Okay, perfect. We can put that in the description down here. We can also put it across the screen right here. Any upcoming like projects or events that we should kind of be on the lookout for? Most of it, if you got something I can cover, I'll definitely come back and cover it for sure.
Yeah, I got a 64 C10. I'm finishing up the air ride on.
Okay.
That'll be done here shortly. You can
But
come
that's the one that's outdoors, ain't it?
That one's almost done. Hopefully, trying to have it done by Christmas, but it ain't gonna happen.
Yeah,
but it's all right.
Yeah, this holiday season just flew by, man.
But after that, I'm just gonna focus on that Cummins build.
Right.
I'm gonna focus on that for the next month. Try to get that as far along as I can,
right,
and see where I can go from there.
Yeah,
and
man.
then after that, I got a 85 dually, square body dually.
Nice. I mean, being in Texas, man, it's all about the trucks. So I'm not surprised that you took on that idea with a truck, because it's being in Texas, you can't avoid it.
No, and nowadays you can make a truck just as fun as a car.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. Well, look, man, I appreciate you jumping on with me for this first episode.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is something that I've been wanting to do for a while. And y'all see how fast 20 minutes go by when we're just talking about cars. Like I've had so many conversations off camera about cars, and I honestly cannot wait. I can't sleep thinking about how fun it's gonna be to bring these conversations to camera and really get involved with the people that inspire me so much. Yeah. And I'm honored that you were the first one to come by, because you did inspire this idea, just talking to you, talking about the truck and everything like that. So I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it very much, man. Thank
you
for making me your first.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. Hey, look, everybody stay tuned in, because once we figure out a name for this podcast, like we're gonna have so much content coming. I can't wait to talk to everybody about cars and introduce you to some cool people. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in, and we'll catch y'all next time.